What happens when the FBI director is asked under oath about the single most controversial name buried inside Jeffrey Epstein's files and he refuses to give a straight answer? In a hearing that stunned Congress, lawmakers revealed that Epstein's victims still can't even access their own FBI records. Instead, their pleas through FOIA requests are stonewalled. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, a completely blacked-out search warrant for a diary that had already been surrendered was quietly slipped into the record. But the real shock came when a congressman asked the director point-blank, "Did you stop reading the Epstein files the moment you saw Donald Trump's name?" What followed was a heated clash filled with evasions, denials, and explosive accusations.
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so
you haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all of the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
Reclaiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times.
It's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article.
Director,
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles is disgusting. Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone and go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment, because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco need it.
Director, remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's file.
It's a simple question. Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple.
Who
did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're
or no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No, A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F.
It sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your constituency by focusing on reducing violent crime in this country and the number of pedophiles that are illegally harbored in your sanctuary cities in California? I'll work with you on that.
Regular order, Mr. Chairman.
I'm
the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The question has been asked and answered.
You have not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt. Director, did Donald Trump ever say to you, just find and release the entire truth? Don't worry if I'm in it.
The instructions from the administration were to release all credible information, and we have done that.
Did Donald Trump ever provide information about Jeffrey Epstein as an informant?
Donald Trump has not been, and I can only speak for the FBI, an informant of the FBI.
So, Director, you've played this cute shell game where you say you can't release everything because the court has said that it legally is not allowed to be released. But the court calls bullshit. Judge Richard Berman said that when you went to the court, quote, information contained in the Epstein grand jury transcripts pales in comparison to Epstein investigation information and materials in the hands of the Department of Justice. So let's move on, Director. You wrote a book called Government Gangsters. You identified 20 individuals in that book. You put me on that list, at the top of the list. Thank you. My children find it flattering. 20 of those individuals have been investigated or have had adverse actions. Director, considering that you have identified these people as, quote, government gangsters, will you recuse yourself from making any investigation decisions about these individuals?
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done so
the
because
question
they failed
again,
to meet the muster in
Director,
their constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to borrow your terminology and call bullshit on your entire career in Congress.
Reclaiming my
It
time,
has been
Director.
a disgrace to the American
Director, I'm
people.
reclaiming my
You
time.
can
No,
reclaim your
you
time all
recuse
you
yourself.
want.
Mr.
Try
Chairman,
and
you're
protect
gonna allow a
the
witness
citizens
to
of
speak, Mr.
California.
Chairman?
Mr. Chairman,
Would you recuse yourself, Director?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr.
to
Chairman,
recuse.
would you
Mr.
admonish the
point of-
witness not to insult members?
Gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman,
the
just
committee will remember.
quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts since the witness decided to interrupt him
And
continuously?
then the witness will be able to respond if he wants. We'll make sure
Thank
he has
you.
time to do that.
My question
Gentleman,
is,
continue.
will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
Correct.
Okay.
For the first time, we get a glimpse into how deep the secrecy runs and the questions that still hang over one of the biggest scandals in modern U.S. history. The first revelation came not from classified memos or FBI briefings but from the voices of Epstein's own victims. In a stunning move, a congressman entered into the record a series of emails that these survivors had sent to the Bureau. Their request was simple: access to their own files, the documents that detail what they endured, the records that should belong to them more than anyone else. But every attempt was blocked. FOIA requests vanished into bureaucratic silence, appeals went unanswered, and the very people who suffered most were left in the dark. The files that could provide answers about who enabled Epstein, who looked the other way, and how his empire operated remain locked away from the victims themselves. Instead, those who should be finding closure are met with walls of red tape. Lawmakers pointed out the cruel irony: how could the FBI claim to seek justice when it won't even give the survivors their own records? It was a moment that set the tone for the entire hearing. If victims are denied transparency, what hope is there for the public to ever see the full truth? And just when that seemed troubling enough, the hearing revealed something even stranger. After the victims' blocked requests came another shocker, this one buried in paperwork. A congressman held up a document that should have provided clarity, a search warrant tied to a diary. But there was a twist. The diary had already been handed over to the government months earlier. Despite that, federal agents executed a raid as if the evidence had been hidden. Even more puzzling, no indictments ever followed. What made the document explosive wasn't just its existence, it was its condition. The first 50 pages were almost completely blacked out, leaving nothing but a blur of redactions. It was a visual symbol of the secrecy surrounding this entire case. Why raid someone for evidence you already have? Why bury the details so deeply that the public can't read a single page? Lawmakers used this moment to highlight a growing pattern: raids without answers, files without transparency, and investigations that seemed designed to confuse rather than clarify. If a simple diary could lead to such extraordinary measures, what else was being hidden in the hundreds of thousands of pages tied to Epstein? The hearing was already raising eyebrows, but the real confrontation was only just beginning, and it centered on the man leading the Bureau himself. When the spotlight turned to the FBI director himself, the room grew tense. Lawmakers wanted clarity on one simple question: had he personally reviewed the entirety of the Epstein files? The case was, after all, the largest trafficking investigation the Bureau had ever undertaken, an operation that spanned decades, crossed borders, and implicated figures of immense power. Surely the man at the very top would have gone through every page. But his answer left the chamber in disbelief. Calmly, almost casually, he admitted that he had not read the files in full. For members of Congress, this wasn't just surprising, it was unacceptable. They pressed him again and again, asking how the nation's most powerful law enforcement official could treat a case of this magnitude with such distance. His defense: he insisted his job was to focus on broader public safety, from reducing homicide rates to dismantling drug networks. Yet critics in the room weren't buying it. How could the director claim to protect the public while refusing to examine the very files that might reveal systemic failures or hidden enablers? That admission was a turning point. From here the questions grew sharper, the accusations heavier, and the exchanges far more explosive. With the director on the defensive, lawmakers turned to numbers. They demanded to know just how many times certain high-profile names appeared in the Epstein files. Was it hundreds? Thousands? The room buzzed with tension as one congressman pushed for a straight answer, but the director wouldn't commit. When asked if it was 1,000 times, he said no. Was it 500? No. 100? Again no. Yet when pressed for the exact figure, his response was unsettling. I don't know the number. The contradiction was glaring. If he didn't know the number, how could he so confidently deny the range as being suggested? That disconnect only fueled suspicions that critical information was being withheld. For lawmakers it was proof of evasiveness. For the public watching, it raised an even bigger question. If the Bureau won't quantify something so basic, what else might they be obscuring? The exchange turned heated, with accusations of stonewalling and cover-ups flying across the room. The director insisted that names were only released if deemed credible and legally permissible. But that explanation rang hollow against the relentless questioning. The standoff over numbers wasn't just about figures, it was about trust. And the fight was far from over. As the questioning grew sharper, the hearing erupted into a battle of accusations and counterattacks. Lawmakers charged the director with dodging accountability, suggesting that his refusal to provide details looked less like caution and more like deliberate concealment. One congressman went so far as to accuse him of protecting predators by hiding the full truth from the public. The director shot back with force. He dismissed the accusations as disgusting, saying anyone making them was twisting the facts for political theater. Instead of addressing the core issue, he pivoted to crime rates, border challenges and resource allocations, claiming the FBI was busier than ever dismantling criminal networks across the country. But the shift in focus only fueled frustration. Members of Congress reminded him that this wasn't about statistics or broad talking points, it was about Epstein, the victims and the unanswered questions surrounding the files. Each time the director veered off course, lawmakers pulled him back, determined to keep the spotlight where it belonged. The back and forth turned personal, with insults traded and tempers flaring. What started as a formal hearing now felt more like a verbal showdown. And just when it seemed the tension couldn't get any higher, lawmakers pushed into the most sensitive question yet. Just when the exchanges seemed ready to boil over, lawmakers aimed at the most delicate question of all: who else knew what was buried inside the Epstein files? The director was pressed repeatedly. Had he informed the Attorney General of every key detail? Had the highest levels of government been fully briefed, or were even top officials left in the dark? His answers only deepened the uncertainty. He admitted to having numerous discussions with the Attorney General, but avoided giving a clear yes or no response about specific names or details. Each time he circled the question, lawmakers grew more frustrated, cutting him off and demanding simplicity, yes or no. The tension in the chamber was palpable. His evasions were read not as caution but as intent to conceal. To some members, his reluctance suggested a broader effort to keep the circle of knowledge as small as possible. For the public, this moment raised a haunting possibility that the truth about Epstein's connections might not just be locked away from victims and Congress, but even from the very officials meant to enforce the law. And before the hearing ended, the focus shifted to an entirely different controversy that would add another layer of fire to the debate. As if the hearing weren't already volatile, lawmakers pivoted to a controversy that had nothing to do with sealed files and everything to do with the director himself. One congressman brought up the director's own book, where he had labeled certain officials as so-called government gangsters. The claim was startling enough, but the real shock came when it was revealed that some of those very individuals were now under FBI scrutiny. The question was simple but heavy: could the director be trusted to oversee investigations involving people he had personally criticized in print? Wouldn't that be a direct conflict of interest? Lawmakers demanded that he recuse himself from any decisions involving those individuals. The director, however, refused. He insisted that every action taken by the Bureau was rooted in law and accountability, not personal opinion. Yet the optics were damning. To his critics, it looked like the nation's top law enforcement official was waging a personal vendetta under the cover of official investigations. This moment turned the hearing into something much larger than Epstein. It became a battle over bias, impartiality, and whether the FBI itself was being weaponized. And that left one final pressing question: what bigger truths are still being kept from the American people? By the end of the hearing, one thing was clear: the Epstein case is not just about one man, it's about secrecy, accountability, and the public's right to know. Victims are still denied access to their own files. Critical documents remain buried under black ink. The director of the FBI admitted he hasn't even reviewed the full record of the Bureau's largest trafficking investigation. And when lawmakers demanded simple answers, they got evasions, redirections, and bitter clashes instead. The introduction of a blacked-out search warrant raised even more alarms, while the debate over government gangsters cast serious doubts about impartiality at the very top of the FBI. Every layer of testimony added to the same unsettling picture: the truth about Epstein's network remains locked away, and those who could reveal it seem unwilling to do so. So the real question isn't just what's in the files, it's why so much effort is being spent keeping them hidden. Until that answer comes, speculation will continue, and trust in the system will only erode further. If you believe the truth deserves to see the light of day, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters more than ever.